Detroit, then we're back. Stephen Will talking that Detroit Lions football. Steve, you got me going, man. Before we get going, you know what to do. Hit that subscribe button and please do not forget the bell icon so you don't miss our new content. Steve, talk to him, man. Get him laughing like you got me laughing.
One of my absolute favorite things to do is we kind of talk before we hit the intro and get you giggling, and then I just hit it and just kind of let you sit there for 10 seconds thinking about what I just said, which is exactly what's happening right now. So what we're going to talk about is Lions rookie minicamp opened up today.
Yes, sir.
I got a couple pretty cool stories. We're going to talk about some of the rooks, how we're looking, maybe a little, season preview type thing. We're just going to kind of go with the flow, no real notes. We're just going to sit back and shoot the shit. So I asked you before we came on, did you hear the story of Giovani Manu?
Absolutely not. I did not.
So rumor has it is he was on the bus going to the training facility and he was sitting in the back of the bus. Keep in mind, this is one of the most largest human beings that I probably will ever feast my eyes upon, sitting in the back of a bus. And he was just crying. The report said that he was just crying. He was just taking it all in. Like this was a moment he's been waiting for his whole life. He was just really soaking it in on the way to the facility, just having a moment to himself, man. How does that, I don't know how to like ask a question, like, how does that make you feel? But like, what do you think about that? Like, I think it's pretty cool. Like, this is like a guy who's probably like, obviously this is like day one of his dreams coming true, obviously. So I think it's pretty cool to see like the human side of football players, like really coming out. A lot of people just think they're like invincible. So how does this story make you feel?
There's no crying in football. What's the next question?
Okay, here we go.
No, I'm just joking, man. It's it's good to know he's that invested, man. He's that invested. That lets you know. I think he's gonna fit right in, man. We got Dan Campbell crying, talking about how much he loves these guys when we were on a losing streak, and he was kind of made a mockery of at that time. But it's good to know that we got another player that fits the culture. We got another player that's invested, and like I said, man, I think he's gonna fit right in.
Yeah, I think it's just a cool story. Something to just kind of appreciate. Like this guy just taking a moment. This is day one of really my NFL career, going to rookie training camp and just soaking it all in. Yeah. Kind of like they say on draft day, sit back and enjoy it. Just kind of like the same type of story. So like what really happens at training camp, I think, is what a lot of people don't really understand. Well, do you like, what do you think happens at training camp?
I got a strong understanding of training camp. Number one, you're getting acclimated to how practice runs, because the pace of practice, even from college practice for a lot of these guys, is totally different. The professionalism and the expectations, right? There's guys that have been coached by Nick Saban, and that's great, but most of these guys haven't, right? And especially now we're even changing to a different college football with all these NIL deals, and the way that you can manage players is a little bit different. In the NFL, you get coached. In the NFL, you are a professional at work. And if you don't do your job, they get on your ass. and they're really looking for something that we talk about at high school, but it's obviously not nowhere near the level of an NFL guy. First time obedience. I want to coach you. I want you to fix it, and I want to see you get better. Now, is there a little bit more grace with the rookies? Yeah, there is. But they're still looking for those guys like Brian Branch who can get coached up and then fix the problem immediately, and just getting these guys acclimated to practice, what it looks like, the drills that they're going to be going through when the big dogs come in. That way you're not holding things up and screwing things up. And it's also a first time to get eyes on these rookies, man. I see who's got a little bit of burst, who looks the part now that you got them out there, and who maybe was great on film, was great in pajamas, but you got some work ahead of you. So it's good to see those things. So that's my take on it. Steve, do you want to add anything to that?
It's just like the first time that the coaching staff really, really, really gets their hands on you in a practice atmosphere, instead of just going to the combine and doing like a Q&A or like seeing how you run and do drills. Like this is like where they're installing and going over like coverages, like, hey, what are you doing in this, or blocking schemes, just depending on your position, like what your position coach is going to be going through with you. So it's just kind of like a practice for just the rookies. Obviously, it's just kind of like it's just like a really intense workout, I would say, with some coverages and maybe some film study and some stuff like that. It's not anything like excruciating. It's not like training camp where it's just like a grind for, weeks on weeks on weeks. This is just like a 2 or 3 day thing, just like a kind of like a meet and greet, I guess. But, they're familiar with the guys, if that makes any sense.
Acclimation, man. That
Yeah.
that water's freezing cold or burning hot, however you want to look at it. You got to stick your toes in there and kind of, okay, let me see what that's like. Now you know when you come back, you're ready for it. Steve,
Yeah.
yeah, I know you said you had a couple of stories. Is there anything that stood
Yeah.
out or any other stories you want to drop on them?
Did you happen to see the interview with Terrion Arnold and Ennis Rakestraw at
I
all?
did. I did.
Well, before we get into that, did you hear what Terrion Arnold said about his mom?
I also did hear that.
He said
I think
a,
he's serious too.
a reporter asked him something. I can't even remember the question, but the answer was, if my mom was a receiver, I would jam her into the dirt, and she knows that.
And she knows that was the part that really
that's,
just
that's the
really
cherry on
just
top.
twisted a knife in there. Like, I'm not effing around. Yeah, I thought that was hilarious, man. I
Yeah.
thought that was hilarious. So yeah, he better be putting hands on these boys, man.
And
Bottom
that's
line.
what, do you think he's the kind of player, like, we're not going to go fully in depth in Terrion Arnold. We've already done that, but this is just the type of guy that Aaron Glenn's defenses needed. We needed that press man cover guy that can lock up within 2 yards, body on body, hip on hip, just be a shadow to a wide receiver. And I think him and Rakestraw both are going to really just thrive. I can't wait to see some real football going down.
You know who I am, and since you mentioned Ennis Rakestraw, it leads me into this because I'm really curious. You know, I'm just I'm curious, George, man. I want to know all things football. I wish I could be in there with Aaron Glenn asking questions. Ennis Rakestraw playing nickel corner.
Mm-hmm.
What is going on with Brian Branch? Is he moving to safety? Is he, like, what are we doing? What's going on? Is Ennis going to be the backup? Is it? I'm just. What is the thought? Are we about to have some hybrid packages where Brian Branch goes to safety and Ennis comes in? Well, I'm just wondering what's the thought process right now, and I'm excited.
I think it's really going to come down to, we've kind of hinted at this. What happened in the San Francisco 49ers game was the game changed when San Francisco was trotting out formations where we didn't need Brian Branch on the field as a nickel. I think their Lions seriously are looking into keeping him on the field as much as possible. If that's a safety, if that's a nickel corner, if it's a hybrid linebacker, I don't know. But I think they're really working towards keeping BB on the field 99% of the plays if possible. Just keeping him on the field. He's a mismatch. Like, he can cover any position. He can cover a tight end, a receiver. He can cover a running back. Like, it doesn't matter. Whatever you throw out there, he can cover it.
Yeah, I don't think you're wrong, man. I don't think you're wrong at all.
And then lastly, I was just listening to that Rakestraw and Arnold interview, and it just seems like they're starting to form that bond that you want to see translate to a football field where I think it was Arnold called him like, this is my brother now. And I think they were kind of joking about how they both came from like an SEC background. You know, the SEC is very competitive. And he was just kind of like, no, man, like, this is my brother now. This is my teammate. Like, we're ready to go. Like, we're in here. We're learning. We're getting our feet wet. We're trying to adapt to this pro lifestyle in this pro game. And I feel like he just answered every single question right today. I mean, it wasn't even like a Q&A. It was just like he said all the right things.
I think he did. I think they both did. I saw chemistry. I saw chemistry amongst them, and I felt like I was looking at two guys that plan on doing this thing at a high level for a long time. And instead of it being two cornerbacks coming in trying to fight for blood and see who was going to break this starting lineup first, it looked like two guys that are going to come together, and they're going to compete, but they have an understanding that this is what the future looks like. It's not them against each other. It's them going out and attacking the world, attacking the NFL. And I like that a lot. Even as Terrion, he answered some questions and poked some fun, and then also referred to Ennis as his brother. Ennis went on to ask Terrion a question. So it was like they kind of flowed off of each other. I thought that was pretty awesome, man. But, and guys, I know you're going to come for me, but there was one thing that concerned me just a tiny bit. Like, this is,
I think I know where you're going.
this is just a tiny bit. It concerned me. But so I was looking at some of the film that they posted, and those guys going through drills, and they showed Terrion going through a few drills. And I seen Tim Twentyman post it. He said he just looks smooth. He looks smooth. And I only seen I only seen 15 seconds of work, but I didn't see smooth fluidity like Brian Branch, right? And I remember watching Brian Branch in drills last year, and I was just like, man, that it just looks easy. It just looks easy. Terrion today, when I looked at him in the drill that I saw, it looked it kind of looked like a safety to me, to be honest. Kind of looked like a safety. Now, like I said, I just saw a couple of seconds, so take that for what it is, but my eyes are perked up to it. And I would like to see him going through drills with the rest of the secondary and next to Brian Branch, because you can really see it if you pay attention to those moments. One thing that stood out for me, not Lions related, but related to the situation, is Calvin Ridley and Zay Jones were doing footwork drills last year, and they posted it online. And uh, one of the guys said, "This is the difference between elite and good." And when they were getting out of their breaks, Calvin Ridley's feet looked 10 times better than Zay Jones. Now, Zay Jones gets out there, he produces, he makes good plays. He's not a bad NFL football player, but it just showed what the difference was live. Now, if you just watch Zay Jones run his routes and go through the drills, you're like, man, he looks pretty good. But when you put them next to each other side by side and them both doing it, you're like, ooh, Calvin Ridley looks a little bit different. So I'm interested to see Carlton Davis, Amik Roberson, Ennis Rakestraw, Brian Branch, and those guys getting into these drills side by side and seeing how those feet look.
Time will tell. We're getting
Time will
ready.
tell.
I mean, we got a couple of days of this rookie mini camp. We'll get into some team mini camps. The NFL schedule's coming. Speaking of the schedule, we got the schedule release coming on Thursday. So the NFL season's in full swing. Can't wait. We're getting there. I just wish summer was over, William. I'm ready for it to be late August, early September. Tailgates, cold beers, football, hot dogs, pizza, whatever I feel like grilling. Just doesn't matter. Let's just get there.
Can I make you more ready?
Oh boy, I don't know if you can make me more ready.
Did you hear what they said about Sione Vaki?
No.
Because I know I don't want to end on a negative, and it really wasn't a negative.
No, it was kind of a negative. It was kind of actually bringing me down, if I'm being honest. Like, I was having a nice Friday, and you just kind of ruined it.
Yeah, man, he's going to be a good player. I'm not worried about it. The film don't lie. I'm just speaking to what I'm seeing with these eyeballs. These perfect eyes. But anyways,
you obviously haven't looked in the mirror.
Why would I need to? I don't need to. You tell me I'm beautiful every day. Anyways, they said Tim 20 Men and multiple people that were at minicamp today. I said Sione Vaki